Hey everyone, Tim Anderson here, aka Renfell, and welcome to my review of Outer Worlds, an action RPG game from Obsidian that I just recently played. Didn't play it when it came out. I played it later on now. And it's good, but it's not. It's one of those games. I love everything Obsidian does, but not everything they do is perfect. And this is one of those games where I feel like it's a great game. There are some pros and cons. I'm gonna dive into those today. But before I do, don't forget if this is your first time here and you like what you see, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you get updates on future content that I do here. And of course, don't forget to check out all the other stuff here on the YouTube channel and join our Discord down below. And you can hang out with us on a daily basis and get up to speed with all the other things that we're working on, such as the Weave in the Void, which we'll talk about at the end of this video. In the meantime, let's dive into the Outer Worlds. So first and foremost, if you're someone who likes first-person action RPGs, kind of in the style of, say, the most recent Fallout games, which, by the way, Obsidian worked on one of those, um, then you're going to feel right at home with this game. Obviously, this is a science fiction based game, so if you're looking for fantastical elements, those are right out the window. This is an interesting sort of alternate history take where corporations basically took over and we went into space with those corporations, and the result is what we see now. I feel like the storyline for the most part is fairly self-explanatory. You're starting off, there was two ships sent out into space to colonize this planet. One ship made it, the other ship was lost. You come from the lost ship, and the storyline from there, there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm not going to spoil the storyline too much in this video because I mostly just want to talk about the gameplay and everything else. If you've ever played an action RPG before, then all of these elements are going to be familiar to you. You've got your traditional leveling up system, so you've got skills, you've got perks, you've got all of your little things that make a role playing game. Stats that affect your character and the way that you progress your character through both linear and horizontal progression. So all that's there, and depending on how far down that rabbit hole you want to go, you can choose to either pursue just the main storyline missions and not worry about the stats too much, which you can totally do on if you're playing the game on easy mode. But if you want to play the game on like normal mode or beyond, you're gonna need to be doing side quests and racking up all the potential points that you can to level up your character to get the most out of your stats and your perks, because those things really do make a difference and impact how your character plays the game. Your survivability, your lethality with weapons, the survivability of your companions, and everything else. And that's something that's also kind of, I feel like it was kind of unique to this game, and maybe I'm naive in saying this, but the companion system was, was kind of nice to have that additional component thrown in here where, because if you're talking about a traditional top-down isometric RPG, then you're always going to have people in your party. Like if you're thinking of like Icewind Dale, Baldur's Gate, those games, you've got six people. More modern games like say, um, most recent Dragon Age. I think you can have a couple people in your party. There's lots of games out there. Sometimes you have two or three people in your party. Sometimes it's three or four people in your party. Like Baldur's Gate 3, which is coming up. It was my one complaint about that game is you actually only have up to four people in total. So, I like six party systems. But with first person games, I feel like you don't always get companions. And in this game, you do, which definitely makes for a different sort of experience because you're not going it alone and you find a range of people that you can have accompany you on your adventures, which means you can definitely sort of min max your character and focus on having a companion that makes up for the things that you can't do. So if you want to go like super stealthy, but and super stealthy, really good at opening traps and things of that nature, but you suck in melee combat, then you need to have a melee tank type character with you to make up for that. And if you're going to be a long ranged distance sharpshooter, then you're going to need someone who's going to be able to get in there and do the melee combat for you. Or if you're going to do the melee combat, then you need a support uh, member behind you doing other stuff. So I thought that was a really cool component to this game. Um, Positives. The writing. Oh my God, Obsidian gets me every time with their writing. They have some of the best writers in the industry. I love the Pillars of Eternity games, and this game is up there in terms of the writing, the quality of the writing. Also, the voice acting was really well done in this game. So if you like the story component of this and you like to read and listen to walls of text, then this is something that's going to thrill you because there is a lot of dialogue. I mean, a lot of dialogue. And it's brilliantly voice acted. Of course, if you're like me, I read faster than they speak. Sometimes I get a little ahead of myself and I'm just like, come on, let's go. Chris was actually criticizing because she was on the couch watching me play one day, and I was spacing through basically the dialogue, not because I wasn't reading it, but because I was reading far quicker than the NPCs were doing their voice acting. And sometimes I'm in the mood to just progress the quest. It's like, come on, I don't need you to do all your sighs and I'm not here to listen to you try to win an Oscar. Like, I just want to get to the next thing. Um, but yeah, there's lots of dialogue and it's good. And I just love the quirkiness of this. Like, everyone is sort of indentured servants, and so they have to constantly be giving you the sales pitch, which makes for very interesting uh, quirkiness in terms of the storyline and just good fun. Some things I don't really like about the game, obviously as good as this game is, and as good of a company as they are, and as great as they are as developers, um, this is the one thing that makes me a little nervous about their upcoming game, Avowed, that they're working on, because the characters and the character animations were not that good, especially when we're talking about like the dialogue scenes and everything else. Like, it's just kind of wooden, and they're definitely not doing motion capture here. I don't think it looked like it was just all hand animated, and that did. For some odd reason, as much as I normally don't fixate on graphics, it definitely took me out of the story on occasion, because it'd be great writing and great voice acting, and then that face and that animation and just the woodenness and the stiffness of all that animation kind of took me back 20 years. And it's like everything else you're doing with this game is so 21st century and so 2000, 20 21, whatever. The game came out a few years ago, but it was all very good. And then you get to the animations and character models, and it was just kind of So I'm really hoping they improve on that aspect for Avowed, because this is the next first person game they're working on, and it's a fantasy based game. So I'm really hoping that they are going to put more time and effort into that component, because if they could fix that, this game would be flawless in my opinion. Um, Otherwise, I'd have to put it like a 7 out of 10. I don't think I can give it an 8. Um, because there were some things, just like the animation takes me out of it a little bit. Character models not being that great. Also, just some issues with, I think, just the overall combat. I'm not a, it just some parts of the combat felt like the movement wasn't good enough, so to speak. And I know it's probably just a personal thing on my end. Maybe I'm bad at using a controller. I don't know, but um, using handguns with my thief character, I often felt like the mobs were just moving around at such a rapid pace that it was like, this is a pain in the ass, and it didn't have the fluidity of, say, Halo, where I'm playing a first person shooter, and so it plays really, really well. It plays like a first person shooter, and you have that first person shooter element of this game, but it's not up to par with a traditional first person shooter. I could also say the same thing about the Mass Effect games. Even the new Legendary Edition, the first person shooter elements of that game were never the redeeming qualities of those games. Even though those weren't necessarily first person, it was over the shoulder. But the shooter elements of the Mass Effect games were not their crowning achievement. It was the story and the role play and everything else. And that's where Outer Worlds shines, is when it comes to the story, the writing, the voice acting, and all of those components. Graphically, it's okay. It's a little overly bright for me in some areas, but we're dealing with an alien planet, so I was willing to let that slide, as maybe it's just an art direction choice. So overall, it was a fun game. Um, And I think it's something that if you haven't already played it, I think most people already have. I'm late to the game on this one. The only reason I actually played it was because it came with Xbox Games Pass. So caveat here is that I didn't actually go out and pay box price for it. I got it through my subscription. Um, and yeah, I think it's actually one of the only Obsidian games I've never actually picked up. And I think the reason was I was busy when it came out, and also I wasn't really in the mood for a sci-fi Fallout type game. I love their isometric games that they do, and I'm really looking forward to Avowed. But yeah, solid game. Check it out. If you liked the game and you liked this video, more importantly, don't forget to leave a comment below, smash that like button, and of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you get updates for all the things I do on YouTube, which there's a lot of it. Check it out. We do lots of different videos, book reviews, show reviews, streaming EverQuest 2 a few nights a week on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Playing Star Wars: The Old Republic with my brother. Doing cooking shows every once in a while, although I haven't done one in a while. Need to get on that. And of course, if you want to check out what we're doing with The Weave and the Void, it is the intellectual property that I'm working on with my brother and my wife through our company, Wandering Hermits. You can find more information about that over at patreon.com/Wandering Hermits. It is a 5th edition tabletop setting along with a point and click adventure game in the style of the old King's Quest and Quest for Glory games, and a book series in the vein of Dragonlance with chapter art and everything else. If you want to support what I do here on the channel, going over to Patreon and picking up a subscription is a great way to support what goes on here above and beyond sharing this video out and commenting and being a part of our community. Links to our Discord are down below, so hopefully we'll see you over there as well. And beyond that, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see everybody in the next episode, whatever that might be. Until then.